Hi everyone, Gabby here, and bear with me a second. I'm just altering the. Um, Here's a little update. One, it's about life phases, and two, what happens when we start to make some shifts. And of course, because I've got a YouTube channel and I've been posting lots of different things over the last few years, like um, videos on travel, midlife, the podcast that I've been doing, all sorts of different things. I wanted to do an update. So let me see. So the lighting in here is terrible. The sun has scorched my hair. I need to go to the hairdressers, and I'm worried she's going to cut too much off because it's been so hot. So for those of you that have been following the channel over the last few years, you'll know that I've spent a huge amount of time traveling around the UK in my campervan, exploring beautiful places as part of my Changing Spaces series. And those journeys have given me so much more about life, and I absolutely love traveling. But something different happened this year that was different to 2024 and 25. 24 and 25 was kind of the recovery years, really, from earlier experiences that I'd had that I write about in other places, more experimental, getting out on the road, and um, even facing some of the anxiety I had about going to new places, going to some of the places that I stayed at, driving on some of the roads. And I certainly know, especially on my last trip, going to Scotland, um, in October when the van broke down. But prior to that, I went quite far in the van, further than I had done. And so part of that was about facing those anxieties, as well as the utter joy at getting to the island where my mum was born and seeing the house that my gran lived in and meeting some of the people that knew her. And I didn't know that was going to happen or even possible. I just arrived on the island, hoping to see what unfolded, and it did. And so that was in October, and I came home. The van broke down, and I knew it needed several parts. And because it was the winter, like a lot of people, you kind of start thinking about, how can I use this time? Winter, we spend more time at home. Sometimes it's clearing the cupboards, doing the really ordinary stuff, and deciding what's going to go to the charity shop and getting things ready for the next year. So I wasn't sure what 2026 was going to look like. And I didn't sit back as I did in 24 and 25 and plan literally the whole year. I knew I wanted to go to festivals. I teach yoga and meditation. I teach some workshops. I do talks. So I knew I wanted to go to festivals to either be a participant and enjoy that and have some fun, or go and teach. I knew I wanted to travel more. And so I created what was like the itinerary, really, for the life that I wanted to create, which has now become How to Create a Soul-Led Life. And that's a series that I write about on Substack and on Patreon. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So in this conversation, I'm going to talk about what I've been up to, what was different about 2026, the life phases, and whether you're creative. We all live an ordinary life. We all maintain a house, go shopping, maybe have family that we spend time with. So I wanted to share more about what's been going on behind the scenes, some recent surgery that I had, and how these are all things that I kind of knew might happen but didn't know, and sat more in that liminal space of not really being sure about what was going to unfold next. And then how do you do that? How do you handle that? So 2026 was really about moving less and creating more. So I decided, because I was still having problems with the van, I decided in sort of March this year as to, okay, I want to travel, see more. How can I do that? So I got invited to go and do some house sitting, and the first house was in Exeter in Devon. And that was great because that gave me a chance to do some videos. I love creating the videos, editing them, and exploring the history. I went to the cathedral, the museum. I saw some like oh, Grayson Perry's had an exhibition there. Absolutely loved that. It's the first time I've seen his work. And that really connected with some of the things that I was starting to write about. So there was all these sorts of synchronistic, symbiotic moments. And these come along sometimes when there is no plan. We might have a broad outline of a kind of destination. I knew I was going to Exeter. I knew that would be about, I think it was nearly 3 weeks. My friend had a cat. I wasn't going to have to do much. I can see my clients online. So I work with people online, still doing coaching and therapy work. And the cat jumps on the mat. So I was trying to do yoga and get the cat off the mat. I think I ended up leaving that mat there actually, thinking about it now. And then going to explore. I took my bike with me. I've got an electric assist bike. It's so much fun to ride. And I ride down the River Ex into the town, into the city, and spent a lot of time exploring. And that was absolutely beautiful, but it was also strange because I found that I wanted to start capturing what I was noticing in the experiences I was having. So that's how I started creating the Substack writers page. I then spent a few days in Glastonbury, and I've recorded some of these videos as well of places that I went to, because my videos are walk with me, where I just take some shots of the place that I'm in. The through the windshield are the videos that I set to music. That's of the countryside, from the camera in my car. And then the reflections are what have I learnt about the place, what's come to me, what does that make me think about? And I did a lot more of that when I was in Wales last August. There was so much about the history that I really got into. The history, philosophy, religion, spirituality, they all combined to me. Um, and then I went to Glastonbury, and that was magical. I went to the Chalice, the Abbey, the High Street with all the shops, crystal shops, bookshops. The energy was just really cool there. And I had so many interesting conversations with different people that I struggled to write them all down actually. So my writing got stronger and stronger while I was there. So then the next stop was in Teignmouth in Devon, which is on the river. It's not the River Tyn, but maybe it is. Um, Very hilly. I didn't. No, I did take my bike, but I didn't take the bike out the car because where I stayed was not far from the town centre, but the road going up to it was like this. But really beautiful area, lovely little shops around there, and I continued to write. So I came back from there, and I started to feel like I've noticed a lot of people around me, and people have been talking about on YouTube. I just wanted to do some very ordinary things: walk to the coffee shop, sit in the garden, listen to the trees. I was rereading some books that I'd parked and not read for a while. The van's still getting fixed. And I wasn't quite sure what was going to come next. And I also, on Substack, have been writing about the different themes of burnout, recovery, what happens when you're coming out of, um, toxic workplaces, toxic relationships, burnout, health issues, in that recovery process, and kind of what you need when you're in that space, and that part of your own map and your own journey. And then what you start to notice and uncover. And I consciously created these desires and these ideas to fulfill because I wanted to test them out, and were these things that I'd enjoy doing. Because along the way, I also did paddleboarding. I absolutely love that. I love being by the water. Um, so I write about a lot of those themes on Substack, and I'm thinking about starting to record some of those on this channel on YouTube. So I came back and wanted to do some of the ordinary stuff, spend time with my granddaughter who's just gone 5. I hang out there a lot more, which is really beautiful. And, first girl in the family, 'cause I've got all brothers, I've had boys. So just we hang out together. She likes gymnastics and yoga. So she teaches me yoga, I teach her yoga. She's definitely going to do teaching of some form when she gets older. So all that ordinary stuff I really started to enjoy. Um, and it's a life phase. We go through different life phases. And the life phase I was in when I was in my 20s and traveling around working was different from when I was in my 30s and I started studying, to do the therapy work, because that was initially a 4-year diploma. Then I did NLP and I did hypnotherapy and Reiki and quantum healing, all sorts of different things. I'm an avid researcher, so some of the things I write are more essays because I pull in the research from what other people talk about. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, I will put the links at the bottom of this video so you can explore that. And if you want to join the community, I put the link for Patreon, and it'd be great to see people coming over because I'm going to start doing some workshops, part 1 and part 2, to creating a soul-led life and what blocks us. And I'm going to do a different video on that because this is more about where I've been and what's been going on, this one. So the whole idea was about staying in one place longer, going to a location and moving from that location and exploring, that radius and seeing what I experienced and what each place felt like. Because I certainly noticed when I travelled to Wales, I went to all the cities in Wales and then some of the smaller tourist locations, and then Pembrokeshire, St David's, Fishguard. Absolutely beautiful. Pembrokeshire's beautiful, so stunning, rugged, wild, beautiful beaches. So there's been so much in that I enjoyed, but also having a camper van, it's great. I love the traveling. I love staying in the van and going to either stay by the sea, in the forest, or on campsites. But traveling can be exhausting, and not many people talk about actually the exhaustion that can follow you. So I started to notice when I came home that I can't do as much yoga when I'm in the van. So if I miss the yoga, I start to feel that I'm getting stiff. I haven't got the flexibility that I had. So coming home was also about reconnecting and grounding with some of the things that I